Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pickleball and Politics, where I combine my quest to stay out of the kitchen with my passion for politics. Thank you so much for joining me today on Pickleball and Politics. It's Friday, and do you know what we do on Fridays? We have a little cocktail because let's face it, alcohol is the only thing keeping this all together right now. Now, I just did a podcast, it was a little solemn. It was a Memorial Day podcast, and I wanted to remember those who had fallen and given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. But it is also Memorial Day weekend, and I wanted to not only remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country and for our freedom, but I kind of wanted to remember our fathers because these were my father's beers. I found Narragansett easy. Pabst Blue Ribbon was easy. Schlitz was so hard, and I have a great story on Schlitz that I'm going to tell you about. So it's Friday. I do this so you don't have to. And we are going to review these three beers. I can honestly say I'm not sure if I've ever had any of them. Well, I know I've had a Schlitz, but really, maybe 40 years ago before it was legal for me to drink. But that's a whole other subject. So the first beer we're going to try today is Narragansett. It is from, well, it was developed in Providence in Cranston, Rhode Island, and now its headquarters are in Providence, Rhode Island. It started in 1890. Oh, you hear that? Doesn't that sound good? I think it sounds good too. So, Narragansett beer. It's now in Providence, Rhode Island, but it started in 1890 in Cranston, Rhode Island. So, cheers. Oh, I like that beer. I can honestly say I like that beer. Ah, it's a nice beer. Now, I'm sure that there are going to be a dozen of you out there that's going to say it's crap, but you know what? I like it. Mmm. I like Narragansett. It's a good beer. Now, my sister told me I'm supposed to take sips in between. She's like my big critic, my sister. My little sister who's probably watching this. Next, we are going to do Pabst Blue Ribbon. It was founded in 1844. Ooh, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by Jacob Best. Ooh, are all my beers. I want to make sure you can see them. On the other side of the Narragansett, it says, "Hi, neighbor." I think that's kind of cute. Hi, neighbor. All right, to your health. Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's a lager, 1844. 1844, Milwaukee. It's a little heavier, the Pabst. I feel like this is more of like a light beer, Narragansett. It tastes a little light. But Pabst is good too. I'll be honest with you. There's nothing fancy about these beers. They haven't been crafted. They're not an IPA. They're not anything fancy. They're just beer. And Pabst Blue Ribbon is good too. I would say right now I prefer Narragansett, to be honest with you. I like Narragansett better than Pabst Blue Ribbon. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't write down the prices of this because they're all cheap. That's all I got to say. They are cheap, cheap, cheap. Now I'm going to take another sip. I'm going to tell you a great story about Schlitz. First of all, Schlitz is also from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 1849. So a few years after Pabst Blue Ribbon. and it was started by August Krug. He might have been German, huh? So my father grew up in Germany, and one day we get a call that my grandparents, who still lived in Germany, they never moved to America. They lived in Germany till the day they died, were coming. And they were coming for 6 months. So my father went out and he got a couple of cases of Lowenbrow. And within 2 or 3, maybe 4 days max, the Lowenbrow was gone. My grandfather had drank it all. So my father went out and got a couple more cases of Lowenbrow. And once again, by the end of the week, he'd gone through all of this Lowenbrow. So my father said to my mom, they're here for 6 months. I'm going to go broke buying dad, my father, Lowenbrow. I'm going to go get him some Schlitz. And so my father went and got the Schlitz, and he's like, oh, I know my father's going to be so upset that I didn't get him Lowenbrow, but it's just too expensive with how much beer he drinks. And my grandfather was this great, character, like a real character. And he had white gray hair, and he was skinny as could be. I don't think he weighed more than 125 pounds at about 5'10", skinny man, and he loved to drink beer. And so my father got the beer, and my grandfather opened it up, poured it in a glass, took a sip, and he looked at my father in German and he said, finally, Leo, you bought some good beer. Okay, so when I think of Schlitz, I think of that story and my grandfather, who my father was spending all this money on Lowenbrow on. And when he got the Schlitz, he was happy. So that's when I had Schlitz last, when I was 18 years old, and my grandparents were there for 6 months. And we might have had a few Schlitz. So, like I said, Schlitz is also from Milwaukee. And it's been around a long time too. And oh wow, that definitely has the most foam. I know people call it head, but I feel weird calling it head. Don't ask me why. There's just Schlitz to your health. I think that's acceptable, but not great at all. But I can see where my grandfather would think it was wonderful because it's a lot heavier. I tend to like light beers. I have to say that. I do tend to like light beers. And I used to like Bud Light, but I'll never have another Bud Light again. And you know why. So if you didn't see that podcast, you can go back to my domestic light beers. It's here on YouTube. And you'll know why I don't like Bud Light. And I'll never have another Bud Light again. This is Schlitz. It holds a warm place in my heart. I'll tell you the truth, because my grandfather loved it. God rest his soul. But I don't really care for it. I'll be honest with you. Narragansett was definitely my favorite, but it's a light beer. This is a little heavier. This is most like Bud Light, I would say, honestly. I know people are going to argue with me. Go ahead, argue. Come on, bring it on. I don't care. Leave me a comment. Schlitz is definitely a heavier beer. I would actually say this is my favorite. Narragansett, Cranston, Rhode Island is where it was developed, and now it is in Providence, Rhode Island is the headquarters. Maybe it's because I'm a New England girl that I gravitated. I don't know. Pabst Blue Ribbon is fine. Schlitz is fine. I would have to say I prefer Schlitz over Pabst Blue Ribbon, only because my grandfather liked it. And I don't think anybody liked beer more than my grandfather. I will say that. Man, did he love his beer. It does, without a doubt, have the most head. I'm going to pour them all the same because my sister told me I poured them wrong. I'm pouring them all the same. This definitely, Schlitz does have a, well, now you need to see the head. Schlitz does have a better head. Let's see Narragansett's. I'm not pouring them so there's no head. I'm pouring them so there's head. Oh, look at that. Narragansett's is huge. Anyways, I like Narragansett the best. Then I would say Schlitz, only because I loved my grandfather and he was an amazing man. He was very psychic and he was a dowser and he used to read people's palms and he was just a character. I prefer, what can I say, Narragansett. This Memorial Day weekend, please remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for us so that I can sit around here on a Friday and have a cocktail. You can reach me on Getter at Pickleball and Politics. You can reach me on Instagram at Pickleball and Politics. You can reach me on Getter at, I just said that, didn't I? You can reach me on Twitter at Pickle and Paul. You can go to my website, pickleballandpolitics.com, or you can go right here on my YouTube channel, Pickleball and Politics. I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful Memorial Day. Please, please, please remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for this freedom that we have. Have a hot dog and sit back and take it all in and thank God that you live in the greatest country in the world. All right, so I liked it. Again, I like Narragansett the best. I will definitely go buy this. I think it tastes the most like Bud Light. And I'm never drinking Bud Light again. And you know why. Then I would say Schlitz. This was hard to find. They're all really cheap. They were like $6 for a 6-pack. So, anyways, yeah, it's time to go because now I'm belching. So I will see you again soon on the next episode of Pickleball and Politics. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everybody. I'll see you again soon.